What's up, Flick Connection? This is Darren, and if you love zombie movies, today I'm going to tell you the top 10 zombie flicks currently available on Netflix. Please, Internet, do not hate me because not every single one of these is actually a zombie movie. They're really freaking close, and there really were not 10 good zombie movies on Netflix. I could have picked just 10. If I stuck to the rules and went with just 10 zombie movies, there would have been a lot of shit on the first half of this list. So instead, I went with movies that are really damn close to being a zombie movie and included them on the bottom 5, and then the top 5 are absolutely 100% zombie movies. So before you start beating me up in the comments, I just want to make that clear.
Oh my God!
Jeez.
I don't want to see that.
Actually, it was a nice reveal.
Yes. Ever since Dad got murdered, things have been great.
Now, my number 10 is sort of a movie. It's actually an episode of Mystery Science Theater 3000. Most of you have probably heard of that. I highly recommend watching it. If you're a big movie fan, me and my wife love watching these. And if you don't know what it is, it's essentially just 3 comedians commenting on a really crappy movie. So to get to the point, the last episode of the original series that's currently on Netflix is called Zombie Nightmare. And it features a lot of scenes with Adam West just in his office, which sounds lame as hell, but the commentary is hilarious. So to me, this one counts as a zombie movie, but because it barely squeezes in under the criteria, it's at number 10. But for some laughs and some zombies, I highly recommend watching Zombie Nightmare, the last episode of the original Mystery Science Theater 3000, currently on Netflix. All right, number 9 is a movie I really like a lot. And some of you have probably heard of it. If you haven't, I really highly recommend this one. It would be higher up on the list of like horror movies. They're not technically zombies, they're vampires, but go fuck yourself because they're technically zombie vampires, which is somehow even better. They're also real scary vampires. They're not glittery, brooding vampires. And STAKELAND takes place in a post-apocalyptic world. It's on a low budget, but they did a really good job with the budget that they had. There's some cool characters. It's pretty gritty. And essentially what it is these vampiric monsters that they count as vampires, but it's very much like a zombie movie where there's hordes of them. The characters are hiding out in the woods. It essentially is a zombie movie, except instead of zombies, they're feeding on blood. I mean, it's really no different. So it totally counts. And there's actually a sequel on Netflix too. It's just called STAKELAND 2. It's not nearly as good. It's starting to feel a little bit more like a TV series at this point. But if you like the first one a lot, definitely watch the second. It's good. It's half as good. I'll say that. It's not bad by any means. But if you like the first, you'll probably like the second.
You was flicking me!
All right, and like I said, number 8, not technically zombies, but I love this movie and I have to mention it, and that's Ravenous. This one came out, I want to say around 99, and it features Guy Pearce, and it's essentially sort of a frontier type movie. I actually watched this in anticipation of The Revenant. It's a totally different movie, but it takes place out in the frontier, and I don't want to give too much away, but it's dark and it involves eating people, and it's not really zombies, but if you're into what I'm saying at all, watch this movie. It's really cool. It's not the best thing ever, but like I said, if you like the words I'm throwing at you, the frontier, eating people, sort of zombies, watch this movie. You will love it.
Someone in there?
There's a beaver in the bathroom!
And we're actually going to start jumping into zombies with Zombeavers. Now, I would want to put this one a little lower on the list, but because it's the first one that actually features actual Zombeavers, I have to put it on here. Now, it's exactly what it sounds like. I almost don't even need to say anything. It's a really shitty movie about beavers in a lake that attack campers. That's all it is. But Bill Burr and John Mayer open the movie with a really funny scene in a truck where I think they run over. I can't remember exactly what it is, but they're delivering toxic waste, and they're funny, and then they're sort of the catalyst for creating the Zombeavers. There's titties in it for like minutes. Like I remember there being one girl that just would not put her top back on, which that's what you get with a movie called Zombeavers. But it's actually kind of cool. Like the puppets look like shit. But the story's pretty typical. But the humor and sort of the effects and stuff are not like as bad as you might expect. The movie's very self-aware, which I always really appreciate. So, again, if you like the type of stuff I'm talking about, I don't want to do a full-on review, but just go watch that movie. If the type of stuff I'm talking about doesn't appeal to you in the least, completely avoid this one at all costs.
Jesus! It's piss.
All right, again, last one that's not technically zombies, and that's Deathgasm. This movie is really freaking cool. It is like death metal and zombies. Even though I said they're not zombies, they're technically demons, but they're essentially just mindless, tooth-chomping monsters. People turning into these demon monsters. It's essentially a zombie movie. It has all the same beats as a zombie movie, so it totally counts technically within the mythology of this movie. They are demons, but if you're into sort of death metal at all, forget about whether you like zombies. You will love this movie. Even if you don't like death metal, if you like sort of the New Zealand brand of humor, Flight of the Conchords, What We Do in the Shadows, things like that, I highly recommend this movie. Now, it is not for kids. This is a gritty movie. I think someone gets killed with a big dildo at some point. I believe that happens, but it's really gritty, but it's funny. It's really funny. It's got really good characters. It's really, really fun to watch. Highly recommend Deathgasm.
Oh God! They're pulling two people out of a van!
Who are those?
There's a bunch of them. They're people, but they're crazy. They're fighting them.
All right, and officially to be on zombies, this is one I really like. It's a small movie, but it's called Pontypool. And it's a zombie movie. It's a typical genre flick, but it really, the origin of the zombies is unique and different in this one. You won't know what it is till, not the very end, but close to the end. And just for that, for it being sort of a unique take on what actually causes the zombie virus, I give it a lot of points for that. It's bloody. It takes a little bit of time getting in, but it's interesting. It's got an interesting perspective. So for that reason alone, I recommend watching Pontypool. At number 4, Dead Snow 2. It's zombie Nazis. That's all I have to say about it. It's exactly what it sounds like. It's funny when it should be. It's not Shaun of the Dead level, but it ain't far off. There is a Dead Snow 1. I recommend that one. Dead Snow 2, honestly, I don't know the difference between them. There's a different story, but I could almost get the two confused because they're just as good. I'll say that. So if you're into Nazi zombies at all, watch it. It's good. Now we'll get a little bit more serious before I get into my top 2. And at number 3, I want to talk about Here Alone. This one is the newest film on the list, so it's probably not available everywhere, but you can certainly get it anywhere. It just may not be on Netflix. I've had some of you New Zealanders, speaking of New Zealand, I've had some of you New Zealanders sort of say, hey, this isn't available, or however you guys talk, hey, this isn't available here. This one may not be. Let me know in the comments if it is or if it isn't. I'm curious to know. But it's a very realistic, it's the most realistic take on zombies. So there's not a lot of action in it, but it's very interesting. It's very well done. It's a small movie, but if like you're a big Walking Dead fan and you can't wait for the new series to start, this one will tide you over. This one isn't the crazy bombastic, slicing off, jaws and blood shooting everywhere like our next flick, but It's very good, it's intense, and it's really well done. It's a little polarizing in the reviews for it. There's some people that just love it, and there's people that are like, oh, that's garbage. So I love movies like that, not just because I'm a snob, but it is interesting, and it's well worth a watch. So I highly recommend picking up Here Alone, again, if you like the way that I'm talking about it.
The medical box. Open it! Oh, beers. You want a beer, Frank? What do you fucking reckon?
So I mentioned Here Alone is not really known for the blood gushing and the splattering, but Wyrmwood definitely is. This is an Australian zombie movie that is super fucking cool. Think almost, I don't want to oversell it by saying think Mad Max and zombies, but just think Mad Max and zombies. It's got a heavy focus on vehicles, not necessarily vehicular combat, but it's got a heavy focus on the vehicles. It's not as epic as Mad Max, so don't freak out when it's not the new Fury Road, but it's got some cool elements to it. The cause of the zombies, or sort of a side effect of the zombies, is really unique and different. It's silly, but it makes for some good movie watching. I really enjoyed this one. It's really crazy. It's colorful. I just even me talking about it right now, I've only watched it the one time. I need to watch it again, like this week. So I highly recommend Wyrmwood. It's bananas. And number first on my list is by far my favorite of any of the ones I've talked about. Not my favorite zombie movie. I'm not going to give up on movies like 28 Days Later, but Train to Busan is a South Korean movie, and it is also new. It just came out last year. I paid for this one, loved it, and it's just been recently added to Netflix. For this one, think Snowpiercer in zombies. The information you would get from the trailer, that for whatever reason is not on Netflix, which I fucking hate, but what you get from the trailer is it's a father taking his daughter on a train to Busan. They're in South Korea, right basically when a zombie outbreak starts to happen. So they're on this train and they're having to get through train stations and things, and it's a very different story in a familiar setting. You know kind of the tropes with a zombie movie. They're all in here, but think it's almost like a World War Z. They're the same type of zombies in World War Z in a lot of respects. You know what I'm talking about? It's almost as if it's the same outbreak, but you're watching it on a train in South Korea. It's really cool. It makes for some really incredible sequences on and off of the train. So number one on my list is Train to Busan. It needs to be number one on your next zombie list. For sure, watch this movie. It does have subtitles, but again, it's a zombie movie. Most of the people in this movie cannot talk. So you're not going to be reading a lot after you get past the first 15 minutes. This is not one you have to kind of wait till you feel like reading subtitles. You can watch this one any night. Highly recommending Train to Busan. If you've seen Train to Busan, let me know in the comments, or if you've seen any of these other movies. If you think I'm nuts for putting some of these things on the list, definitely let me know. But hopefully you like this list of the top zombie-ish movies on Netflix. My Netflix recommendations are actually really popular. They're becoming some of the more popular videos that I do, so I do plan to do a lot more of them. So if you like this, you want to get more of these recommendations, click the subscribe button, and also don't forget to click the little bell. That'll notify you when I put a new video up. Currently, I'm doing about 2 a week, so you're not going to get a ton of notifications. But if you like the stuff I'm doing that and watching and liking my videos is definitely going to help me grow this channel, and it's going to help more people see these videos. So I really appreciate all of you that are following and subscribing in these early stages, and I'll see you next time.